grab that dark colour, snip him, pull out that stitch, pull out that thread. Alternatively, you can come onto this other side and carefully snip along the back. Now this does take nice precise scissors, and you do want to make sure that they're quite sharp. You can also just sort of stick your thumb up under there and just push them to the top so that they protrude a bit more. Just snip, snip, snip. Now this might look a little terrifying at first, but you know, I don't think it's any worse than sticking really, which I haven't done yet, but I am keen to give a go one day. I think just one more snip at the end there, and we should be able to just start. You can even just use, where did my spare needle go? We'll grab this one with the other piece on it. You can just pull all these little guys out. Pluck, pluck. So just take your time doing this on your real piece, because obviously you'll have a lot more stitches than I have here. And so it can take a little bit of time, but it is a lot faster than unzipping like a crochet cast on, for example. And you're just going to have to trust me here when I say I tried 4 different provisional cast on methods in the process of creating this pattern, and they all worked, and they were all, you know, they all had their ups and downs. You know, this one's a little bit scary with the cutting, but you can just pluck them, you know, one at a time. You can just pull them all out there. But it is by far faster, and I think overall easier, especially if you've never done a provisional cast on before. I think this is the easiest one to learn. You just need to learn how to do your long tail cast on and then literally cut it away. And now those stitches are all sitting there ready to be knit in the new direction. So in the pattern you would actually now switch to a contrast colour, and you would be working back and forth for a bit to the underarms, just in your stockinette stripes, and then you join in the round and you carry on. So the last thing I just wanted to have a look at, and I'm not going to be able to go all the way across the row because I didn't leave myself enough yarn here, is sewn tubular bind off. So we'll do the first few stitches here just to show you the steps involved. So if you've ever made socks, specifically cuff down socks where you've had to do the toe up with Kitchener stitch, or if you've ever grafted 2 pieces of fabric together, that is, the steps are the same for Kitchener stitch as they are for the sewn tubular bind off basically. So what we're going to do is the setup stitches. So the first thing you do is we're going to take, and hang on, I'm just going to pass this through because it's actually in the wrong position here. It's come through. We're going to take this first stitch and we're going to pop the needle into the stitch as if we were going to knit it. Okay, and we just, oh, that needle's caught it. You just pull it through just as if you were knitting that stitch, but you're using a tapestry needle instead of a knitting needle to pull your yarn through. And then you're going to come into this second stitch over here as if to purl it. No, oh no. Okay, ignore everything I just said. That was completely wrong. All right, so the setup, sorry, and I really do apologize for that. The setup here is that we always purl into the first stitch. Okay, so we're actually just setting up the stitches. We're not going to remove anything yet. Now the tricky bit here, and once you get used to it, it's actually not tricky. It just looks a bit awkward. So you're going to pop your needle in between the first and the second stitch. So it's not actually in a stitch, it's just between them. And then you're just going to sort of, in fact, I'll pull it all the way through because it'll be easier. And then you're going to go into that next stitch as if to knit it. So you can do that in one maneuver when you get used to it, and I'll show that for the next time we do it. But when you're getting started, it is easier to pull your needle between them and then go back through. Okay, now, and you'll be familiar with those 2 maneuvers from doing Kitchener too, except it would be one stitch from your front needle and one from your back. We're just doing it all on one needle here. And you can separate your stitches out onto 2 needles, so you would put all of your purl stitches onto a second needle and then hold them together to do this. But I actually prefer to keep it on one needle. Takes a little bit of getting used to, but once you do, it is a lot faster and I think a lot more satisfying. So we're going to go into that first stitch as if to knit, and then we're just going to pop it off, and then we're going to purl into the third stitch, or the second one now because we just moved one off. I'm just going to move those back a little bit there. So just into that second one as if to purl, and then back into the first one here as if to purl. Give it a little tug, and then we're going to pop that stitch off. And then remember how we came in between two stitches the first time? You can pull your needle all the way through and then go into the next one, or you can just squeeze it around and in between those loops and then pull it back. So we're going into that second one as if to knit there. Okay, so that's the 4 maneuvers. So the first one, once you've done your setup, is always, your first stitch is always a knit, and then pop it off. And then purl into the second one on the needle, pull it through, purl into the first one, pull it through, and then pop him off. And then between the 2 stitches and into the second one as if to knit, pull it through. So that's the 4 stitches you're going to do, and you're going to do those same 4 maneuvers across the whole way. Okay, so always try to do the 4. Don't try to stop in the middle, especially when you're first getting started, because you'll just lose where you are. So in to the first one as if to knit and pop him off. Into the second one as if to purl up and pull it through. Into the first one as if to purl, pop him off, and then in between and into that second one as if to knit and pull it through. Then knit and off, second one purl and pull through. Oh, and I'm about to lose my tail. And then first one purl and off, fourth one in between the 2 stitches and into the second one as if to knit. And now you can see I don't really have enough yarn to do too many more here, so I'll just pop that through there. But you can see that nice stretchy edge. It is perfect for 1-to-1 ribbing, and it's quite tidy. It's a nice tidy rounded edge, so it looks like your stitches are actually just curling around on the edge, and it looks so nice when it's done. So they are all of the techniques that you may or may not be familiar with, besides your bog standard knits and purls that are stockinette stitch. You will be knitting in the flat as well as in the round. Otherwise, it's a simple provisional cast on, and you are welcome to use whatever cast on you prefer. This just happens to be the one that I recommend, especially if you're a first timer or if you've ever had trouble unzipping a crochet style cast on before. You definitely give this one a go. So I hope this helps to answer any of the questions you might have about any of the techniques in Ladies Lunch Dates Tea. Otherwise, if you've got any more questions, feel free to join the Honey Hawley's Clubhouse Facebook group and ask your questions there, or flick me an email or a DM on Facebook or Instagram. I look forward to seeing all of your combinations of colours and your wonderful t-shirts. Thanks, guys.